to reconnect. What is going on? Okay, well, I hope that we are connected. My name is Denise Jelinek, and I help women over 40 stop emotional eating, binge eating, stress eating, whatever you want to call it, overeating, whatever is getting in the way of you actually transforming the body in the way that you're working so stinking hard to do. So today what I want to do is teach you what I was able to work with a teacher last night in about 20 minutes, coach her through actually erasing a trigger situation that has been causing her to overeat. So stay tuned, share this if you know any other teachers who might be in this category, or if you happen to be a woman, you can totally relate to all of this because it's not necessarily a teacher thing. Okay, so here's the situation. This woman typically finds that when she is feeling overwhelmed with a task, she goes for snacks. Although they're healthy snacks, it's more snacks than she really wants to be eating. And it's just this continual thing that's been happening. For years, she's had this same behavior. So I dove in a little bit more, and I'm going to go with you with the exact way that we did this, because in the webinar that I teach, there's 2 tools that we teach in that webinar to keep it super simple. I teach you how to reframe your trigger situations so that they actually are erased as a trigger. And then I also teach you how to create a plan. So it's those 2 tools, even though there's many more tools. But if you want to get in this webinar and learn the tools yourself and teach yourself how to coach yourself to stop stress eating, the link is above. Okay, so here's the situation. As I said, she is overwhelmed. She eats these healthy snacks, but it's more than she wants. And so what I did was I said, well, what specifically? Hey, Renee, if you have any questions, put them in the chat. I will answer them directly. So I said, specifically, what situation do you find yourself being overwhelmed? And she said, I have this bedroom, and essentially this bedroom has become kind of a storage site for her. She has cleaned out many of the piles in the other areas of her room, but in her bedroom, she has piles. They are piles that she would like to give to her grandchildren, piles that she has related to travel, piles of things that she's purchased. It is multiple piles. And every time she walks in her bedroom, she thinks, oh, I should really clean that out. I should really clean that out. Okay, so we went through this and, with a little bit more understanding, but I'm giving you guys the Cliff Notes version because who wants all of the story, right? You want to know just what it is. So the circumstance and what I've been teaching people is that every circumstance is entirely neutral, whether or not you take that circumstance and it takes you into a self-sabotaging spiral or a success spiral is really based on the thoughts that you assign to that circumstance. And so what I wanted to teach her was find out, well, what are the thoughts that are sending her into sabotage? And then how can we reframe that so that she goes into a success spiral? And what I consider success spiral is living according to your values and your priorities. Okay, so she sees the piles in her bedroom. She said, this is overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh, this is so overwhelming. So she's feeling overwhelmed. And when she feels overwhelmed, we know that these feelings lead to actions, things that you do or you don't do. And she says, okay, what I do is I avoid doing it. Right? We all do that. Or if I start doing it, I get interrupted very easily. You know how you get sidetracked. She said, I eat and I just shut down. Like, I don't even know where to start. Can you relate to that? Ever felt that way? If you have, just put yes in the comments. What she finds that she is not doing is she's not planning and she's not following any specific system. She's just like walking to the bedroom, has no plan for what's going to happen with the piles. She's just spinning out on, oh my gosh, I got to do these piles, which leaves her totally paralyzed. The result is that she's paralyzed and actually continues to be overwhelmed. Here's what I talked to her a little bit about. So as a teacher, and if you all are teachers, I want you to listen up. Listen up, teachers, because I'm not a teacher. But here's what I know about teachers. I know that teachers are organized. I know that they know how to plan, right? You guys have lesson plans. I know that you know systems very, very well. I know that you have flexibility with your planning because although you make a plan, you have your curriculum, you also have a lesson plan and you have a lesson plan B, and you have flexibility, or you have a student who needs additional help. So you guys know how to be flexible and in the moment, right? You also know how to think on your feet. You also know how to keep your cool when things are overwhelming or you're feeling a lot of pressure. So, although I was talking to a teacher, these are all things that most women can say, well, yeah, I know how to do that. You also are very straightforward in a very kind way. So, if you deal with the public in any way or parents in any way, you know how to say what you need to say, but still be kind. You also know how to break things into manageable pieces and teach it to other people, right? We're not going to learn how, I don't even know, Rome was built unless we know all the pieces. That's a stupid example. But my point is that you have all of these skills. And once we know that you have all of those skills, I asked her, so what can you apply knowing your strengths? And I was asking her some of her own strengths, and she came up with this whole like, I can break things into manageable pieces. I said, knowing your strengths, how can you apply that to this pile? So now we get to start creating what we call the success spiral. And I think until we know the sabotage spiral and are pretty clear on that, it's really challenging to create a success spiral. So a success spiral can be, we can start with the thought, the feeling that you want, the action that you want, or the result you want. So we started with the result. She wanted no piles in her bedroom. That's what she wanted. Renee, come back and watch when you can. It's not going anywhere. So I said, well, okay, for you to have no piles in your bedroom, what would you need to do or not do? And so we did some brainstorming here. She said, well, I definitely need to not avoid it. She didn't put on, okay. So she said, well, what I'd like to do is I'd like to have a plan with, and this is the end. We did a lot of work in here, but I'd like to have a plan with some long-term and short-term deadlines, including when will I have the plan done. She'd like to break it into smaller pieces with these short-term deadlines. She wanted to have some accountability, and she wanted to make sure it was in her plan so that she would schedule it. So in her calendar, she knew that on Tuesday at 4 o'clock, she was going to be working on the piles so that she knew when she walked into her bedroom, when she looks at them, she doesn't have to spin out about it because she knows she's going to do it Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And I said, for you to be able to get this done, what would you need to feel or think? And she said, well, I need to feel like like I can do this. So I need to think I can do this, which would make me feel productive. And if I think when I look at those piles, so circumstance didn't change. She still has the piles in her bedroom. But when she sees them, if she can say, I can do this, she feels productive. And she's giving herself evidence. Like a woman can only say, I can do this if she creates the plan. I mean, here's the thing, ladies, is that often we think, poof, I'm not going to stress eat because I'm not going to stress eat. But unless we actually look at the things that are causing us to stress eat and creating a different way of living, then we're going to keep stress eating. We're going to keep having those same mental shenanigans. Um, I asked her, hey, do you believe that you can do this? She said, yeah, absolutely. I've done this for years. No, because if you don't believe this, you can't put that in the thought category. But anyway, yeah. So what's interesting is that this has nothing to do with eating, but there's no reason for her to eat because she's creating a plan. So we have erased the trigger situation because this won't be a trigger as she's doing the self-care to make a plan. The result is that there's no piles in the bedroom, which is exactly what she wants. So here's the thing, is that you guys can learn how to coach yourself as well. There is a webinar that I do. It is Monday night, 7 p.m. Central. Get on. You do need to register. That way you'll get all of the handouts that accompany it. And the truth is that you can learn how to not stress eat, and I will show you how. So you have a blessed day, and I will